The only thing I have to say is I want a man who is not afraid of commitment. I'm so tired of it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just, what are you tired of?
Just backing out because they're afraid that they like me.
You think that's what it is? They like you too much, and so they're afraid to commit?
I'm not saying that they necessarily like me too much. I'm saying that they are like, shit, like this could go somewhere. Like that's scary. I have commitment issues and I'm not secure with myself. So I'm going to just lie and ditch her. Yeah.
So you wish guys were more commitment minded?
Yeah, or I just kind of wish that like they would understand what they won't be able to commit to when going into something first, and instead of kind of like leading you on too much.
So you're tired of the hookup culture?
No, it's not even the hookup culture. It's like when you go into something more than hookups, you're going on dates, you're meeting each other's parents, going to games, going to multiple proms, all of that shit, and then all of a sudden it's just, you know.
So are you talking more situationships, kind of?
Yeah, I mean, it's like more than a situation. Even when you're in a relationship, you know, and then they just like all of a sudden they're like, never mind.
I feel like the main reason why that happens is because they're really scared to open up about their like emotions that have to do with like toxic masculinity or like their
Wait, what?
toxic masculinity. Don't act like you don't know what that is.
Toxic masculinity?
You don't know what that is.
I don't think there's such a thing.
Oh Lord.
He wants
well,
to
let
get
me
into debates right now.
It's too late.
let me
to get into this.
No, we can get into it. Let me qualify my statement a bit here. So I don't believe in adding toxic before the term masculinity or before the term femininity. There are just toxic people. I don't subscribe to this idea of toxic masculinity. There are toxic men, there are toxic women, there are toxic people.
Mm-hmm.
Do you disagree?
I do, because toxic masculinity is a term for the toxic men that utilize it.
Is there toxic femininity? Is that the thing?
Probably, but I wouldn't know what it constitutes. Like, I can't think of it off the top of my head. But
What?
Toxic masculinity in like this example is when they're taught to like stray away from their emotions, like not express them, keep it to yourself. Like, you're a man, don't be a pussy, like hold it in, like don't cry. That's what I mean. And I feel like that's when we see, honestly, I think it's a root of like a lot of problems, including that, because they just don't know how to express their feelings, and a lot of stuff builds up, and then they get scared, like, oh, she might actually be a good girl, she might really heal me, but wait, like, no, I'm like not ready for that.
And I
think
that is generational. Like from the very beginning of time, men were the warriors, the knights, you know, the people fighting, and men or women were
the gatherers,
dainty
the
gatherers, birth givers, you know, all that stuff. And that really carries on, because ideals and, you know, like ideals are passed down. Like, so your parents, obviously, who raise you, are going to put their ideas on you, and then it's like that effect.
But okay, so I'm going to ask the table. So do you guys believe in toxic masculinity? Just show of hands. Eric, if you want to just put it. Okay, do you guys...
I'm on the fence because of what you said.
Okay, so if you believe in toxic masculinity, then do you believe in toxic femininity?
Yes.
Show of hands again.
But how do
I mean,
you-
at least you guys are consistent, but I just reject this idea of putting toxic before a term, in the same way that it would be like, it might be sexist to say toxic masculinity or toxic femininity. It would be like, geez, I don't want to get canceled. It would be pretty problematic to say like toxic. Fuck. It would be pretty bad to say toxic, for example, toxic whiteness or toxic blackness or toxic Jewishness. Do you see what I'm getting at?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, the idea that maleness itself needs to be pathologized and fixed, it's just like it seems a bit sexist.
I think the whole idea of men just kind of, be strong, don't cry, don't express your emotions, you're gonna look soft.
That's toxic? You think that's toxic? I think that's desirable. Men should be strong.
But at the same time, it's like you're not allowed to, your feelings are invalidated. You're not allowed to feel those things because you're a man.
No,
And
yeah,
you can't-
I mean, I agree with you there. People don't care about how men feel.
Yeah, and I think
And
that needs to be
women,
changed.
just like that women in the video that we reacted to, when men, some of you might disagree, when men are honest, if they're open with their feelings, if they display emotion, women lose attraction for
No.
men like that.
That's
Not
not
all,
me.
not all women.
Yeah.
I'm not saying all women, but we had a woman on the Joe Rogan podcast just admit if her boyfriend got knocked out in a fight, she would lose attraction for him. So men are not open with their emotions. By the way, men and women, the way we display our emotions is different.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I feel like
Go ahead.
people should not, like, whether it's men or women, should not be taught to not be emotional because, like,
what about, but stoicism? I think stoicism is a desirable trait
I would
in
rather
both men and women.
I would rather be shown how people feel because, like, for example, with my ex, he never told me what was wrong, never communicated with me, so I spent 95% of that relationship thinking he was going to break up with me, and he was mad at me when he was having his own personal issues and just refusing to communicate.
And that's the point that I was going to make is, like, men who have been invalidated, like their feelings have been invalidated, it translates to relationships. It makes you scared to communicate those things with women because you don't know how. You don't want to look too soft. You think that girls want you to be macho man who's super strong and it's just like
Often
stereotypical.
But in a relationship, it doesn't work unless you're both opening up because
And
automatically I felt so much less comfortable opening up because if he can't, then why should I? And so
Open up about what though?
anything. Like,
Open up about what?
like
okay.
if you're feeling something, if you're going through something, communicate it. Like, don't just be dry and don't talk and act like you're no longer interested because you don't want to talk about it.
And it also, I'm sorry, it's also not so, like, if you don't want to communicate that, that's okay too, but it's also as simple as, I don't feel comfortable communicating that with you.
I mean, I will say, like, for most men, from our own experiences, the times when we are vulnerable in front of women lose attraction for us. We lose the women. I can think of a ton of situations where I was steadfast, I was stoic, and then, like, I cracked or something. Not cracked, like I freaked out or something, but something happened, and I shared that with a girl I was seeing. There's one girl there's been a couple girls this has happened to me too. I'm like, hey, I'm going through this. And then the dynamic immediately shifts in the relationship. She loses respect for me.
That's not the
really
case
sorry
for
to don't
everybody.
I'm not saying that's,
No,
I mean, maybe you guys are outliers, but I think a lot of men's experience when they are really vulnerable in front of a woman, like, would it be a turnoff if on a first date a guy cried in front of you?
No.
No.
Come
No.
on.
No.
It would be a
Yeah.
turnoff.
I think it would be because that's the first date. Like, we haven't
Third
even,
date,
like,
even
established
third date, a guy
connection.
cries in front of you. It's probably going to turn you off in some way. I've had experiences. Okay, I'll give you guys an experience. Almost exactly a year ago, I was attacked. It wasn't a fight. Like, I was attacked. I was jumped in the street. I was fucked up. I was all bloodied up. Everything.
I'm sorry to hear.
It was bad. Luckily, we caught the guys, and well, that's for another time. But, and I had my girl that I was seeing at the time come over to, like, help to nurse me, and she came over, and I was all fucked up. Like, my knee was all bloody. I was in pain. I was like, it was hard to walk and shit. And there was a palpable change we'd been seeing each other for a couple months. There was a palpable change in the relationship. Like, it was like before I was attacked and then after I was attacked. Like, it changed. When she saw me, like, all fucked up like that, it changed the relationship. She kind of lost a little bit of respect for me. We never argued. All of a sudden, she's bickering about this and that. I'm like, I can't really articulate exactly how it changed, but it changed. And then I think within 2 months the relationship was over.
I
I'm
feel
really
like it
sorry you
almost.
went
Oh,
through that.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like it can also really go both ways, though. I had a very like almost similar experience, not something that happened to me, but the guy that I was in a very long-term relationship with, like, you know, again, he was very stoic. Like, he never really like shared his emotions to me, like at least like deeper emotions that were like things like issues that he had maybe with like his mental health and things like that. One night he gets super drunk, opens up to me like about some really like dark like issues, and his whole thing is like apologizing to me, being like, I didn't want this to affect our relationship. I don't like you seeing this side of me. And I think honestly a part of that plays into toxic masculinity, because it's like he hadn't even like, he opened up to me and instantly he feels embarrassed
And
like
apologized,
just
yeah.
out of like how society feels, because obviously I was there, I was like trying to comfort him. I'm like, I'm so glad you opened up to me because now I understand the issues you're going through. But in his mind, he kept like walking into the bathroom to like wipe his tears, being like, I'm fine, like you don't look at me like this. Like he wouldn't look at me because in his mind, like a man shouldn't be able to show his emotions like that.
Yeah.
So in your case, I can understand like maybe that was a turn off for her, but
but it's not for everybody.
It goes the other
Yeah,
way
sure.
too, where
And
yeah.
and also I think like now within our generation and the younger generations, like mental health is coming more into light and teachings. You know, I'm not sure if like, let's say you in high school got, you know, the mental health talk, or like you had outlets to reach out to. It was a little more taboo, you would say, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. But I think, so it sets like that ideals for like that age group. And so I think that's what is lost in like people of older age, is they're kind of taught like men are strong, men don't really show emotions, and that's just what they expect. And I think now with our generation, and I think as I see more when I talk to my friends, or even all you guys here, like it's okay to show your emotions, and when people like validate that, then that's where the change comes. And I think the dating pool now is, we'd rather you communicate and show your emotions. That way we can better understand you and there's no disconnect.
I feel like when there's no communication about like how you feel, it kind of turns into resentment. And it just builds up, and it causes tension because you're going through so much and you can't talk to your significant other about it.
Exactly.
And if you're dating somebody, you have to trust them. That should be your person. You should trust them more than anything. So you should be able to talk to them. And if you feel like you can't, then that's not a healthy relationship,
And
in
that's
my
how
opinion.
it was with my ex too. It was like he started to resent me because now I know like things that he's too embarrassed to like share to other people, and he couldn't even trust like the person he was closest to because he's just embarrassed.
Well, to address your point, if a guy is stonewalling you, that's a different issue. If there's like a lack of communication and he's not communicating certain things, but opening up his emotions, like a guy can communicate with you and still be stoic and still communicate a desire, or if there's an issue in the relationship, he can still do it. But if guys just start sobbing to women about their problems, it's just, the reason a lot of guys don't do it is because they've had experiences that when they do, the women lose attraction for them. Or the other thing that often happens, when men open up to you, you use that shit later on in the relationship to like as some sort of tool in an argument. Like,
and I don't think any of us are saying that like that doesn't happen, because it definitely happens.
Definitely does.
There are shitty people, there are shitty women, there are shitty men. People are going to take advantage of you. But I think for a lot of people, just being able, like personally, I want my boyfriend to open up to me about his emotions, because if he doesn't, why am I going to open up to him? I don't want to cry to him if he doesn't feel like he can cry to me. I don't care about that. It doesn't make me less attracted to them, because I want to be shown how he feels. If anything, it makes me more attracted to him because he can communicate properly and he feels comfortable sharing with me how he feels.
Personally, I've had an experience where a guy I was with at the time has like completely opened up and cried to me about like something going on in his life. And honestly, it almost probably made me like him more, just the fact that he could share that with me and he doesn't share it with other people, even his like close guy friends. It was a really big thing to me, and it still is this day, even though we're not nearly like that anymore, you know? It's just like, it's something that it's like it's not even like a secret, but it's like a moment we shared.
Yeah, it's intimate.
It is intimate.
Oh, okay. I wanted to come in here on something. I mean, that's great. That's great if it made you more attracted to him. There's definitely women that's the case, but it's like a toss-up. Like before we open up, we don't know if like this is just going to be the beginning of the end of the relationship, or if she's going to genuinely be there. I mean, my advice to men is, if you have a problem in your life, go tell your male friends. Talk to your male friends. Don't bring it to your girl, like, just because you gotta be stoic. Like, that's how it is. So
you don't have to be.
You don't have
Yeah,
to be. You can
there's-
still
That's
be
the
a
thing
strong.
is like again, it's just you're reinforcing like that stereotype that man.
Yeah.
I'm
men need
reinforcing
to be-
toxic masculinity.
you can still be a strong man and show emotion.
Exactly.
No, and you're saying like, oh, go to your male friends about it. Like,
If
no,
anything,
you
I
should be
feel
able
like-
to trust your
yeah.
girlfriend enough to share your emotions with her.
If
Like,
anything, I feel
if
like your
she's the
girlfriend
most
can help
important
more.
to you as well, like keeping with what like
I mean-
traditional gender roles anyway. If your woman is the most important thing in your life, you should be able to go to her with your emotions.
It's certainly ideal. Sure, it's ideal, but like as a guy, you are kind of rolling the dice, because for some women, and even some women who say the things that you guys say at this table, you might be able to verbalize that, but deep down, you could still, like you're saying, you could say the politically correct thing. Oh, baby, it's okay. I want you to open up. But when he does, something deep down, I'm not saying all women, but something deep down might still be like, you might be put off by it. And so also another thing is, men often don't share their feelings because they end up just upsetting their girlfriend, and then they're left to console their girlfriend on her feelings because of how his feelings made her feel.
Yeah. Honestly, though,
Try to wrap your mind around that one.
I feel like if that happens, then you're just better off without them anyways. And eventually some problem was going to come up and it wasn't going to work out. Because if you are the type of man that wants to communicate with your girl the way that you feel and she can't accept that, then she doesn't deserve you and you shouldn't be with her.
I agree.
Word.
Word.